So we're talking about William's girlfriends.
Well, he raised an interesting point because he went, uh, a lot of this is still sort of somewhat new to him, whereas this is like uh, regular territory that I've been in, but largely given up on. Um, but he was asking, he was like, "Was it wrong of me to like?" He's like, "She was the same person in the photos." It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
but so were they recent photos? Like, was
Yeah.
there evidence of like physics expansion?
Right, yeah. So did the door have wavy lines in it?
Well, he was like, yeah, and
Yeah.
he's like, "Am I shallow?" It's like, "No, you're not shallow. As a matter of fact,
No.
that's grounds to walk out." He's like, "What do you mean?" It's like, so what you're telling me is that this person knowingly
Mm-hmm.
put those pictures up
Mm-hmm.
and left them there,
Yep.
and you're supposed to be shallow because the person that showed up is not the person
Yeah,
that...
no, I think that's totally, dude, that's totally in bounds, man. So it was 25 years ago when it happened to me.
Right.
So, and this
Right.
was like the very first girl that I dated on the internet did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So, and this was 20 years, this was when, we're talking dial-up days, man.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I remember going on dates with people from the fucking paper. You remember
Yeah. Yeah. The personal ads.
the personal ads?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Love Line or whatever it was, or Match or something.
I can't remember what it's called. But it's yeah.
Yeah. Oh god, man, if I was single, it's like that Mung Doll thing. If I
Mm-hmm.
was single,
Bro, I get it. I know what you're saying, but it's more of a pain in the ass than you think it
oh
is.
no, I would be a confirmed bachelor.
It's kind of where I would.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it would have, I'd literally have to trip over somebody. So, so yeah. I mean, I could actually sleep in the middle of the bed all the time. That'd be fantastic.
You think that, but sometimes if you're a pet lover,
Oh yeah. Oh no, no kitties on the bed.
and that would still be a thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's so weird. I wouldn't even know what to do.
Well, again, it's not as complicated as you think, but it's just the world's a different place than you think it is
It is
when it
now,
comes to
yeah.
this sort of thing, right? So,
Bro, I've been out of it for 24 years now, so.
all right, since you're at nearly like a quarter century of unavailability, like describe what your outward perceptions tell you have changed and what you think the difficulties are.
Well, so watching my brother kind of go through it a little bit, and it's some of his friends and some folks at the bar.
Mm.
So there's been a lot of relationships that kind of came and went over there, and some of them actually lasted. There's probably been, I'd say, 2 or 3 marriages now
Oh,
that are
okay.
all based on like the new dating scene, and so everybody meets each other online anymore. And so it's rare when you actually have like, like a coworker or something like that
Right.
that you start dating. Although I guess I have seen that happen.
I've
So,
done it.
well, yeah, a coworker?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, see,
Not for long, but
yeah, but like recently?
well, how the hell would I meet anybody at
Well, that's
work
my
right now?
question. Yeah. So you're talking about it before.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, back when it was probably still like that's one of your number one places to actually find a date was either at work or at
That's cool.
school.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, those are still legit
Yeah.
down there.
Yeah.
So kind of thing. But it's like, well, nobody wants to ask anybody. Well, are you seeing anybody right now? And so it's easier just to go to the fucking website where you know everybody and there's in the pool.
Right.
So yeah, and so that part's got to be a little bit easier. So, but then You know, I mean, it's the same problem with job applications, man. So if you can take them from all over the state, you have a lot more to sort through as a manager. You know?
See, this is the problem. Is
Yeah.
you're right
Yeah.
to an extent.
All right, what am I wrong about?
Okay, the problem is that a lot of that is definitely one way.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. I mean, but like I don't know. So a couple of girls that I know who have been dating over the last couple of years, um, I don't know. One of them in particular, I think she's kind of settled now, but
Mm-hmm.
she was telling me fucking horror stories about what it is to be a woman on a dating site. So,
Well, okay,
yeah,
go on. Yeah, tell me.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's just like I don't know, like what part of my profile picture, which is actually me, okay, because I'm
Uh-huh.
not a piece of shit and I'm not gonna lie to you and stuff like that.
Yeah,
You know, instantaneously gives you the right to send me pictures of your dick immediately.
yeah. There you
So
go.
yeah,
Okay.
so and she said it was sucked because you'd migrate between different sites over time,
Mm-hmm.
and then you'd find the same fuckers on the other
Right,
site.
same people,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay, well, so that's part of it. Is all right. So, especially on the male side,
mhm.
right? It's something to the tune of it's like 8% of guys get all the responses.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that.
You should be.
No, I'm not.
No,
Yeah,
you should be.
yeah,
You should
I'm
be.
not surprised by that.
Whereas, yeah, the I'm not saying that all women are deluged, but it's a little bit more even. Um,
Hmm.
but this is sort of a weird thing, kind of a weird conundrum that goes into this stuff because what you're doing here is, um, you could sit there and take uh you could take all the time in the world and you could have the poet laureate look over your profile one more time and see like, are you saying the right things? That's essentially useless, right?
Right.
Because the thing is look, I'll say it this way. When it comes to girls looking at you, there's two things they look at, right?
How
They
much
look
hair
at
do you have?
Oh, well, that's just that's personal taste and appearance,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And then how tall you are.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that. So.
And like, all right, no, that's fine if that's what you're into, right?
Yeah.
Because that's a thing. But um,
Well, you have the right to be picky. So.
you do. But at the same time, here's the thing: is so if you like that and you like that height and you're giving attention to basically the same 8% of guys,
Yeah.
right? The same 8% of guys who are used to getting all the attention,
Yeah.
right? You're going to run into the same problems over and over
Sure.
and over,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
Which then, for some reason, unbeknownst to me, that is okay for women to then hold against all men.
What do you mean?
Where it's okay to make blanket statements about how all men act.
Yeah, but that's just Twitter women, man. That's not all of them. So
No, of course not.
yeah. So like my
But they're
wife
the
and I
ones
have
that
talked about
they're the
this.
ones that write your media. They're the ones that
Yeah.
write your articles and basically spread this kind of
Yeah, yeah,
nonsense all
yeah.
over the fucking place.
Yeah, but any girl who actually like, has gone through that in some respects, and then turns around and says, "Oh, well, she's got a few extra pounds," then it's like, "Oh, okay, so you're gonna be picky about that?" And it's like, "Well, aren't you gonna be picky about whether or not like I'm bald?" And so I mean, I've had some very candid conversations with girls about that over the years, and they're like, "Absolutely, you're entitled to your preferences." She's
Right.
like, "I'm entitled to my preferences," so and so it is just one of those things. It's. I guess that's one thing about online dating that I would not be able to do well with. I mean, I just write my shit on there. Just like, I'd get banned in 5 minutes. So, but whatever.
No, yeah, and you're. This is the thing is at the diatribe I'm going on. It should go without saying that I don't excuse the behavior of some of the more misbehaving men, of course, right? I don't think
Yeah.
it's ever appropriate to sit there and send pictures of your genitalia, especially in a world where anybody can just snap that. But But more to the point, it's also like, all right, um, this is the weird thing for me. I think I've mentioned this before when they talk about like women who've talked about being groped by like famous people,
Yeah.
right? And there's just this thing of me like even if you're famous, like the grope has still got to be a low percentage move, right? Like what kind of people are going to
Yeah.
basically see that and be like, yeah, that hit the spot.
Yeah, no, almost nobody. So
Exactly.
it's usually a dare, or it's just a chance to actually get a cop a feel real quick, or something like that. Of course.
That or you're
Yeah.
hammered or
Or you're hammered. Yeah, but yeah, no, that's. I don't think anybody in that situation is actually looking for a relationship, and I'm not the first person to make that argument.
no,
So yeah.
no. Yeah, like I don't I don't understand that in terms of like why you go for it. I mean
I mean, part of it's a power move too, man.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so stupid. It's
Yeah.
almost like it almost becomes non-sexual at that point, even though it is. But it's largely based on the fact that this is something that a person wants to protect, but I can still take from you.
Yeah, I know.
You know?
Yeah. No, I never understood that one either.
No,
So,
it's
yeah.
very low percentage shots. You're shooting from half court at best.
Yeah.
You're shooting from your own free throw line.
I don't even think you
To
should
get a
take
positive
that shot.
response.
Yeah,
No,
yeah, yeah.
of course.
So no. So, but yeah, I don't know. I would be a confirmed bachelor again for a while, especially since if something were to happen, it would have to result in like something bad happening to my wife. So then that means that I would have a kid that I had to take care of too,
Well,
and
I mean,
that would suck. So
there is always the possibility she's just like, boy, I'm sick of your shit.
that is
outta here.
possible.
I don't really see it.
Yeah, that one would definitely be out of left field. So
I would think so.
yeah,
I know your wife.
no.
She's into you.
Well, some days more so than others.
It's such as life.
Yeah.
Look, man, I've said this before. Like,
She won't leave me. I cook for her, man.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, if you weren't, the house would be filthy.
Oh, it'd be disgusting in 15 minutes,
yeah,
man.
like
If I wasn't in that house.
your wife would be like constantly suffering from like black mold headaches and
No, she and my daughter, if both of them were untethered, all right.
oh lord,
Oh
with
Lord.
you out of the
With
picture.
me out of the picture, my God, that house would be overrun with junk within about 3 days.
Oh,
So the clutter would start like reproducing. So yeah,
are you the sole force that stands between
chaos.
hoarding?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm the one who keeps order. So I'm the one who puts the shoes back where they belong, the knives back in the drawer. So I run the dishwasher.
But where would the knives be if not?
Nobody would know, Jeff.
Got a lot of forks in this couch.
Yeah. Nobody would know.
Buy a new flatware like every 2 weeks.
It'd all be plastic too. Yeah. So, no, my wife's a notorious pack rat, and my daughter is just as bad. So she's just as bad. So
It comes from somewhere. And look, it's not.
it does. So, I mean, to be fair, my dad was a pack rat, so he saved
I
every
know.
extra washer and bolt, but he put them in places where they were labeled washers and bolts.
Because
So-
I think part of his joy was labeling.
I think it was, yeah. So, in fact, I remember growing up. All right, he had one of those old school punch style label makers.
As did I.
Yeah, with the like black or the red tape.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, with the dial on top.
Uh-huh.
Yep. So I remember that thing.
Well, and that was the thing is, I've owned several label makers over my life span, right? And so I still have a ka-chunk one downstairs.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
Oh.
It's purely ornamental because I can't handle it. And I also, like, at work, I had like a Brother P-Touch, which
Yeah, I had one of those.
where it's a little keyboard and then it
Yeah.
actually prints it out for you.
Yeah.
And it becomes so stupid because the process of owning a label maker, if you're retarded like me, is you first go to the obvious. You label the label maker, then you start labeling things, but without commentary. You're just identifying what it is
Right.
when it's clear.
Like a Richard Scarry book.
Well, yeah, from the appearance, like you don't need to label a spoon; it's a spoon,
Dump
right?
truck.
Yeah, exactly. So you then start doing this, and then it's after that where you come into commentary, where the labeling starts to take on an attitude,
Yeah.
right? And it's just so pointless because, like, the way that your dad did it the right way is 3/16 washers, right?
Right.
Why do you do that? Because when you want a 3/16 washer,
Right.
you want to know exactly where it is, right?
Correct.
But if all you're going to do is then use this and put some kind of like expletive commentary
Right.
on it, right?
Like
It
the
becomes-
comment section.
Yeah, you label the dog. I mean, this is the kind of stupid thing, you know.
Label the cat. Asshole.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I
Can't be trusted with
dude,
it.
I've worked in a warehouse for a while, so
Yeah.
like, I know, like, you know, there's
You label your own lunch. I mean, it's
yeah, no, after a little while you realize that okay, labels are there for like specifically and only to help you find things, you know, and so like I don't know, we got really disciplined about it and stuff.
wow.
Yeah, we did, man. So, you know, and it was one of those things where I was like, man, this place is a fucking pigsty. We gotta clean this up.
Mm.
So you guys just putting like labels on here that says washers. What kind of washer, motherfucker? So there's 8,000 different types of washers in this warehouse, man. So, you know,
You might as well just put it in the drawer and then label the drawer.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
parts. Yeah. So I don't know, man. Actually, the first place where I had problems with that was that motorcycle joint that I worked at right after we got married.
Oh yeah.
When I was
It's right down the street,
yeah,
right?
running
Yeah.
their little warehouse down there, and they would return shit or get shit sent back to them. So or damaged shipments would come back to them too and stuff.
Yeah.
And then they would just throw them in this like black room that was quote unquote their warehouse. And then whenever they were actually trying to do any work, there was no process to actually, you know, say, hey, I took this muffler from here. So, you know, they just go in. Do you have one of these? Yeah, that one right over there. Just yoink it. So,
Right.
and I'd be like, should I order another one? You know?
Or do we just hope one gets returned?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So, oh man, it was crazy. So, it was crazy.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
That again, that is just the role of like responsible label making.
Yeah.
Right. And I get it. I don't do that now. I'm very strict about where certain things go. Right.
It's up here, man. So I know where everything in my house has a home. Okay. So,
Well, yeah, there is that, but there are also certain things that are migratory. Certain things that need to be working their way in a certain direction. Like it's like it's going through the life cycle of milk. You know, the the story I heard, of course, where it comes out, you know, it's milk when you buy it. After, you know, a week and a half, it becomes buttermilk. After another week, it becomes sour cream. After,
Right.
you know, but there's a certain life cycle of things where they need to start working their way towards becoming trash,
oh yeah.
right?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So,
Like, I know that one of my biggest problems as a youth was my parents were big on don't throw the receipt away, don't throw the box away
Oh, yeah.
if you have to return it,
yeah.
right? And then someday you realize that boxes have become the dominant life form in your fucking house.
Like, yeah. It's, they're native to your land.
I know. He's like, well, not a one of you pays rent, and every single one of you is flammable. Why do I have all
Yeah.
you? And then you just look at that, you're like, I haven't owned this for 6 years.
Yeah.
And the receipt would have been gone for 7, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, fuck it.
Oh no,
Goes.
I huck it immediately.
Yeah.
If I need to get a return now, it's like, all right, well, if I don't have the receipt, at least I got the point of sale. You know, you guys have the point of sale system. You have my credit
Yeah.
card. If that's good enough, we're fine. So, you know, anything that I pay for in cash, I never expect to actually like dispute
Forget
that.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So,
if I'm paying for it with cash, I know it's as is.
yeah,
Because it's usually like gum.
yeah, right. Coffee. Yeah. Need to return this. So, yeah, but like, no, I was kind of like that in the beginning. Especially with something that you spent a lot of money on.
Electronics.
You know? Yeah, electronics in
Always.
particular,
Yeah.
or yeah, mostly electronics, but even like kitchen appliances, not like the big appliances, but like, you know, if you got a Cuisinart or something like that, you're
Yeah.
always like, oh, I gotta save that box just in case.
Yup.
You know, but then after going through a couple moves, it was like, oh fuck, man, we gotta get rid of all this shit. And so, like, even in my house right now, I'm getting to the point in time where there's some things in my house that just it's time for them to go. You know, they're at the end of the butter cycle. So,
Yeah.
yeah, they've been reduced down to fertilizer. You know? Yeah. But
Oh God, I mean, this is what we talked about too. Like, I'm not even getting into the aspect. I think we talked about this last time of assuming certain things appreciate in value.
oh right, yeah.
Nothing that I own appreciates in
No,
value.
I can't think of a thing in my house that's actually worth more than what I paid for it.
Not even close, except for
Yeah.
possibly the house itself. But I think
Well, yeah,
That's-
that's appreciated quite
so
a bit.
one, but I can't throw that out. I mean,
No,
I'm
I
not
live
holding the
here.
receipt on this.
Right.
You know,
Mm.
it's store credit only. You know, it's whatever.
Right.
Yeah, it's there was that.
I want to pay my house off, man. So raviolis are not happy this week, dude. You've been watching that?
Yes, of course I've been.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know,
Yes.
like, man, because I go like weeks where I do, and then a couple weeks where I don't. So because you know, quite honestly, it's just like, all right, it's not moving. It's not moving. Oh, it moved a little bit, and then you know, Bitcoin will be back down to $22,000 the next day, and it's like, God damn it, you know, realizing that $800 worth of movement is nothing. So
Yeah,
you
but
know.
okay, I watch it far more closely than you, but I also watch like half a dozen other coins. and
Yeah,
I
see, I'm not
make
watching
moves,
any
so,
anymore.
yeah,
I'm not doing any more trading on that shit. So I'm basically my position is good. All right. So unless it like, and I mean, it really has to fucking tank. So you know, at this point in time, for me to actually lose money. All right, but considering how close I was to paying off my mortgage last fall, I was kind of pissed. It's,
dude, it's pissing me off. Like,
I remember telling my wife about a week before it crashed. All right, it was like, if it keeps going like this, we're definitely going to do this after the first of the year, so we get it in that tax year. So,
uh-huh.
oops.
What are you gonna do?
No, nothing, man.
I
I mean, it'll be back at some point in time up there, but
no, it is, and it's fluctuating, and you know, fortunately, it's. I've been watching the patterns on it, so I'm not that worried. It's
No.
just that it is responding to economic news, and
it's trading like a tech stock. It's
it
trading exactly
absolutely
like a
is.
tech stock.
Yeah, except for the few that are acting in opposition to that, and even then, that's still sort of, yeah, I see what you're doing here, and I could ride that spike, but I'm not smart enough to know when that dips in.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a little bit of that going on, but yeah, there's just the unmitigated disaster right now in terms of what we're actually presenting the economy as right now. And I don't mean the actual economy, it's going to be fine, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and what do they call it? Black pill it. I'm not going to sit there and
What
do.
the fuck is black pilling?
Oh, well,
Well, I know what red pilling and blue pilling are. Black pilling is just like kill yourself.
it's basically an intense form of pessimism,
Oh, okay. All right.
right?
Yeah, so go kill yourself, basically.
Not quite go kill yourself, but it's just when you look at a situation and you just like look at it as like the worst possible case scenario.
Economy would be fine.
It will.
We won't even be talking about it in 6 months. So
Or we will. I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay,
Man.
I don't.
I mean, over the last
My
like,
predictions are worthless. Let me just put it
yeah,
to you that
no.
way. All right, let's just let me.
I mean, I've had a couple that are actually pretty good. I mean, the housing market didn't explode, and I mean, I was preaching that last spring to just about anybody who would listen over there at the bar. They're like, "Oh, housing prices are gonna crash." I'm like, "No, they're not." Okay, so HGTV has seen to that. So as long as this nation is full of people who want to be landlords, which is everybody, because nobody really wants to job the 9 to 5 grind anymore.
What does that tell you?
Well, yeah.
What
Okay,
does that tell you?
I actually have a contrary piece of data about that
All right,
that I'll
all right.
share with you here in just a sec. But you know, like I remember people, oh, well, maybe I should sell my house. It's the top of the market. I was like, where the fuck are you gonna go? Okay,
Great question.
yeah,
Unless you're legitimately saying, like, say for example, before your pop passed away, right? If your folks said, "Hey, maybe we should get rid of this because I don't like going up and down those stairs."
yeah.
Got it.
Okay, that's totally different need. Yeah, yeah,
100%. Yes.
yeah. So, oh, and that's fine. You buy the house that you need. You know,
Right.
So you do that whenever you have to. And so, like, I mean, there was such doom and gloom going on. Like I want to say like maybe the last year about how like an entire generation was going to be priced out of the housing market and stuff like that. And it's like, no, not really, guys. Houses have always been fucking expensive. So, it's always been a major one. You buy the house when you need to buy it. Okay. Don't try and time the market on a fucking house purchase. So, because it's a long term, it's a 30-year investment, man. So, it doesn't matter if you get in this year or next year. It's not going to really make that big of a difference. So,
Well, okay, and there is a little correlating piece with this here too, where yes, a greater percentage of people in this country used to be renters, right? And I'll throw that out there as being absolutely true. However,
is it like, so there were more renters in the past and there's more homeowners? Is homeownership at its like peak right now? I don't even know.
I don't know if it's at its peak. What I do know is that this is basically something a post World War II situation,
Right.
where you've heard this, and it's absolutely true in terms of house development.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Now, here's the thing: is when we talk about people being quote unquote priced out of the housing market, right? The way I should preface this is being housed out of the housing market in the exact location and to your specifications that
Right,
you
yeah,
think you
exactly.
want,
Yeah.
right?
Your exact count of bedrooms and bathrooms and granite countertops,
Yes, because
Yeah.
what I can say is those developments of basically what we know right now as suburbia today, when everybody was building like fucking crazy,
Yeah.
right? Look, I'm going to tell you, a lot of people weren't going to be like, all right, I need to leave Louisville, or I need to leave New York, or I need to leave Atlanta, but this is where these new houses are. I'm going to get away from it, right?
Yeah.
And I can get a good deal on it,
Yeah.
right? Now, I can tell you right now, all right, I had a fun discussion with, so, of course, the majority of my students, okay,
Uh-huh.
and the people I work with are not in rural areas.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, they are concentrated in places like California, New York, Chicago, and Florida, and this is the thing. I got a lady that I'm working with here. I also work with her son, and she's just like, so I work from home, like the boys. I'm working out of his bedroom for part of the day, and then the living room through part of this. I'm like, well, can you set up a spot for an office? And it's like, well, we rent.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, okay. How many of you were in there? She tells me. I'm like, I'm trying to come up with these solutions, and nothing is working out based on the schedule. Like, I get it, right? So I was like, can you leave? She's like, what do you mean? Like, do you have one more good move in you? She's like, maybe. I was like, all right, here, let me do something real quick. Okay, so this house in Wyoming,
Yeah.
It was like what? I was like, all right, so for $800,000.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, like.
You get a house and land.
Well, I rattled off the square footage, which was like 6,000 square feet.
Yeah.
Like 6 bedrooms. It was like, can your husband work remote? He's in tech. I know you're in the Bay Area because he works in tech.
Yeah.
Right. Can he do that from online?
Yeah. Well, and that's interesting because that's where I was about to make a different contrary point too. So I actually been like, so first week classes, actual face to face, it's kind of cool. All right. Ask my students. All right. And one of my bigger classes, 40, almost 40 people in this class. So it's nice to see them back. All right. How many of you guys want to work remote? 0. Out of them, none.
Oh, they want to meet girls.
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think it's just that, man.
Oh,
so,
okay.
yeah, and actually, you know, they're much better at the dating thing than our generation ever was. I'm going to tell you that right off the bat. So, yeah, they're much better. They have no problem like ghosting your ass. You know, so.
For God's sake, man, that is.
Oh, everybody accepts it though. It's like, no, that's fine. So, I mean, me personally, I would see that as like monstrously rude, but. An entire generation, if everybody thinks it's okay, I guess it's okay then.
No, you're right, because on the same token, like, if you look at certain conventions where your mother or my mother was like, I can't just hang up on a salesman.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Like,
I can't not answer the phone. It's like, there's somebody at the fucking door.
So, yeah, that'll solve itself.
Yeah, right. Yeah, this one is
Don't worry, dude, they'll leave.
Yeah, but no, seriously, both classes, none of them. None of them want to work remote. And I mean, I get it. When you're entering the workforce, you probably don't want to work remotely. You know,
to learn the job, I would say.
That's part of it, but this is also like, it'll be really interesting. Maybe not this year, but maybe next year, when you start getting students who are like actually in high school during the pandemic.
Oh,
I bet you people are going to be fucking absolutely opposed to any kind of like online shit.
They hated it then.
Yeah.
I guarantee you those feelings haven't warmed over.
No. No, the only thing that the online stuff works for, and these are all my students and maybe some of yours too, man, that love it, are people who work, you know? So they got jobs and they got shit going on. Or they're raising kids. So, you know.
Well,
not my 19-year-old freshmen. So,
yeah, I understand that. And look, the people I work with, I'm sure some of them would enjoy it more if we, like, actually I can promise you some of them would prefer it if we lived in the same city and I would just drove over to their house and did this for an hour. Of course I would charge more.
Right.
I would be like, well, I don't know. It's like, are you gonna board me?
Right.
I don't know. It's like, what are
we going full English here?
Is this how we're doing this? Yeah, so there is some of that, but for the most part, it's fine when it is a limited number of people. If it's 40 people, right, just hanging out in Marilyn Warner's class, like, look, I get it. And you're thinking like, oh, sure, this will be just fine. It's just like a regular. What the fuck it is?
Oh no, that's terrible.
It's not even.
Yeah. Zoom teaching is uniquely awful. So I mean, I have way more success just broadcasting. So yeah, the students fucking love it. So they absolutely love it. So what I mean, you know, I can watch it later. I was like, yeah, of course, that's the point. It was like, sweet.
If you got questions.
If you got questions.
Type it in the thing.
Right in the chat. You know, it's totally fine. Or I'll see you on Monday. That works too.
Well, because on top of that, you have the rare occasion to be like, no. Hang out and see if your question gets answered by watching the lecture.
Right, yeah, exactly. I don't do that.
I know you don't. I don't either. Look, I get it. And frankly, I actually, you know, especially with just like the one-on-one thing, it's like, no, stop me. It's fine.
Yeah, no, it's totally cool.
Because there's not 40 of you.
No. I don't know though, man. When I lecture, I actually have a tendency to steamroll everybody else in the room. So YouTube works great for me. So You know, I mean, I've told students, it's like, save it for the end, I'm on a roll, you know, or something. It's like, I'll get to you in a minute, man. So,
Mm.
yeah, and so I'm actually better at it when I do it that way. Which unlike like one-on-one tutor, I don't think I'd be very good at it. So I probably would in certain like as long as I found a bandwidth that I was okay with, you know, like a comfort level in terms of um like I don't know. So like you were talking a couple weeks ago about doing like GED prep. That's
Mm.
way too fucking much for me. I can't do all that. You know. So, you know, but if I had to do like algebra, okay, no problem. So
Yeah, but that's all it is. Is
yeah.
you don't. There's not enough time in the session for you to hit all the GED prep. So it's like, well, we're gonna
Right.
work on this.
No, I'm talking about like with a book of students. So if I had several of them that were all in like very different
Oh
places.
hell no.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't want to do
No.
that. Yeah.
No.
But no.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, go for it.
No. It's all right. I mean, it's just like I can absolutely see the value in it, right? And I also look. I can tell you where some of these students end up, and I can also tell you that there are some folks where all right, I've had it out with some parents.
You have?
Yeah, I have.
Man, I haven't interacted with a parent in 10 years. Yeah.
Oh well, no, and it's not so much like me arguing with them. It's more so like I'm laying down the law here. I'm like,
Mhm.
look, I get what you're doing, and I know that you think that you're helping by just plugging your kid in front of different people and hoping for the best. It's like, but I'm gonna break it to you. Like, I'm not gonna take your money to do that.
Yeah.
Unless I'm getting full participation here,
Yeah.
right, then I'm not going to willingly accept your money. And I know that some people are. That's fine. They present the material, that's okay, right?
Mhm.
And if that's what you want, that's fine. There's a
Yeah.
number of other people who do that. But
Yeah.
either tell your boy to knock it the fuck off,
Yeah.
right? Pay attention,
Yeah.
stop screwing around,
Yeah.
or, you know, no offense to you, it's like, you gotta go somewhere else, right?
Yeah, no.
Um, and I mean, it is what it is, right? Because yeah, there's a lot of people like, oh, okay, well, my kid's not doing well. I have fives and tens and twenties and fifties falling out of my asshole. Let me just throw this at something and see if something sticks. I'm like, okay, great.
Yeah.
Do that with.
Yeah, somebody else. Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't have any problems like that anymore. I mean, I've had so many students over the years just I mean, I've had over the last year and a half, I think there was this one guy who's taken my stats class like 4 fucking times.
Jesus.
And each time he registers, and I don't know, I was kind of somewhat convinced that he was like either milking it for VA money or something.
Oh, yeah.
But he's not that no, that he's not in a situation to be able to do that. Well, all right. I just have no idea. So you show up on the first day and you don't see him the rest of the semester. And then you email me 2 weeks before the semester's over and says, what can I do to pass? And I'm like, you can go do all your work. So I'll take it late.
I told you this 3 days ago.
I every single time I've refrained from saying it. Okay. I just give him the policy. I just give him the policy.
You sent him that email, huh?
No,
Okay.
no, I do not send him the one. It's like, well, get your shit together, man. This is the
No,
third time being here,
no,
blah, blah,
no,
blah.
no, no. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There's. When is the last time, like, dead serious? When is the last time you gave anybody a straight up come to Jesus speech?
It's been a while. I've
remember?
given a couple classic ones though.
What's the
So
classic one? What's the classic come to Jesus that you've given to anybody? Just no matter who it may be.
all right, so we talk on the podcast a lot about racism. So
Let's.
yeah, let's. So this was probably like, how long have I been teaching? I've been teaching almost 15 years now. And so college,
Yeah.
college at least 10. No, more than that. So I want to say this is probably about 8 years ago. We're going to just call this one 2013, 2014. So I was teaching at the community college, not that shithole college.
Right.
All right. And I was teaching, it was either law or human resource. I think it was human resources.
Okay.
Okay, and so we got to the part where we're talking about Civil Rights Act, this is not discrimination and recompense. It actually creates a tort and stuff like that if you flat out refuse to hire someone because of their race or their ethnicity.
Right.
So the one that I usually get people on is national origin. Okay,
Mm.
so because everybody's like, oh well, if you're not authorized to work in the United States, I was like, aha, that's two different things. Okay, so you can discriminate against people who are in the country illegally. All right. But you cannot discriminate against someone who came from another country and has a green card. All right. Kind of thing.
Right.
I usually get
Yeah.
people on that one. All right.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
This guy, all right, in my class, all right, who was kind of a blowhard, but he was also kind of a cool dude. And he actually ran a small business downtown, some kind of repair shop or something like that.
All right.
And in the middle of class, he's just flat out, he's like, I will never, ever hire an Arab, ever. So, in fact, I won't even get him in my shop. And he went on this, 5-minute epic rant. Okay?
Is this apropos of nothing? Did you
This was all
this? Or
so the guy was this big, Second Amendment dude and stuff like that. And, rah, rah, wave the flag, America kind of thing and shit. And he was a veteran,
Okay.
but not of any of the recent wars. Okay, he was one of these guys who was probably, in the military when my dad was, well, no, I mean, that would have been Vietnam. So, when we were in high school, all right?
Gulf War One?
I don't even think he was there, man. So, but anyway, but he just took 9/11 so fucking personal, and this was just his personal rant. And he was on this big kick about how Islam was this scourge on the face of the planet and all kinds of different things. So, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, I'm letting him go. I'm letting him go. I'm letting him go. Other people in the class are getting uncomfortable. Okay, you can tell. All right, and so I give him the T timeout. I'm like, all right, timeout, brother. He's like, let me pick up this book here and read this law to you. And it says, no person shall be discriminated against in terms of whether or not you can offer them employment, whether or not you choose to hire them, or whether or not there's a little statute in there. But basically, he illustrated my exact point. And I was like, that little rant that you just did?
Yeah.
Yeah, that itself is exactly what would get you sued, on something like this. And so, he wanted to keep going on it, but the rest of the class was just they started laughing. So at this point in time, because it was one of those things. It was like, no, that thing that you just did,
Right.
that's exactly what you can't do.
Right.
So,
Right. Right. Well, actually, okay, you can do it, but
you can't tell everybody about it.
Right.
And that was the point that I made to him.
Yeah.
Man. So. Yeah, I don't know, but a disciplinary thing, it's been a while. So even that guy didn't have to. I haven't had to haul somebody quote unquote to the principal's office in ages. So
yeah.
I mean, I've caught guys on plagiarism. So but that one's easy. I have my go-to solution for that. It's so here's your paper. Here's the one that I found on Google. That's your paper. So you want to take another stab at this, or you just want to take the loss right now and call it quits? So
Yeah.
and so most of the time people are like, oh, I got busted. And it's like, yeah, I'm not stupid. Don't insult me again. Kind of thing. Yeah.
Right.
But that doesn't happen very often.
I get it, and I can also name any number of former professors and teachers of mine that, given that exact same situation, would have started that speech with "How dare you?"
Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which I don't get to do very often. Most of the time, it's with this dog, and usually it's because tortillas end up missing from the counter.
The entire loaf of bread.
So that's the extent to how dare you I can give, but. Yeah, I get it, and especially that piece that you talked about with that guy, right? There's that part where you're missing, where it's like, yeah, but what if you find a cool Arab?
I didn't even go there.
I know.
It was just one of those things where it was like, All right, so everybody else, take a look at this. This is exactly what I'm talking about.
It's like, see this? You hear
Yeah.
this at work? Hit the sue button
Hit the sue button, yeah.
often and loudly,
Right.
because you're gonna win.
Yeah.
Because everybody on this planet has a phone.
Yeah. But I haven't had too many unruly students. I mean, like, so I think it was a couple years ago. I had like 4 or 5 guys on the baseball team in one of my classes. And where I teach, our baseball team is kind of notorious. So for being, I don't know.
Just loud.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just loud and not necessarily. Um,
You can be loud in an
Yeah,
entertaining way, but
yeah, no, but it's kind of like fraternity loud,
Exactly,
you know,
yeah.
kind of thing. You know,
I
it's
believe they call that dude bro.
it is dude. They're very dude bro. That's an
Yeah.
excellent way to put that. Yeah. And so there was one year. Yeah, it was like 4 or 5. It was before the pandemic. I had like 3 or 4 of those guys in my class, and they would not shut the fuck up. And so, but it was really easy. So I mean, I'm cool about that. One time, I was like, "Hey, what are you guys talking about? Is it much cooler than what I have to say? Because if it is, well, I'll turn around and listen to you." Okay? They're like, "Oh, sorry." And then 5 minutes later, they're doing it. I'm like, "Gentlemen, out." And they're like, "Well, what?" And I was like, "No, yeah, we'll see you next Wednesday." Okay? Out now. You know, but that's it. That's like the most like confrontational I get with students. I had one student challenge me once.
To like the caber toss.
Kind of, but no. He just started going on this rant, okay, kind of thing, and he was saying, "Why do I have to do this? This is stupid, blah blah blah. You know, this would be much more efficient if we did my way, yada yada yada." And I was like, and I mean, he turned out to be really cool after a while, and I still keep in touch with him in some respects. But I didn't know this at the time, but he was going through a nasty divorce, okay, and so he just blew up at one point in time.
Sure.
And I kind of picked up on that, and so did the classic teat for timeout. I was like, all right, timeout, man. You and I need to have a discussion. So you and I can go do this in the hall, okay? We can go do it upstairs, but we're not going to do it in front of 30 other people.
Right,
So,
right.
yeah. And that kind of let the air out of his tires, you know, so to speak. But
Well, that's a quick one too. Is like, okay, what you need to determine really fast is this a me that you're that mad at,
Yeah.
or is it like a lot of things?
well, it turned out it was a lot of things.
It's like, that's okay, right? Go out here and have that discussion with the vending machine. I won't look, right? That's fine. And then come back. And if you have a problem with, old Jeffrey, then, we'll have that discussion.
Yeah.
That's okay. I mean, look, what's funny is with my students, I end up ranting more than they do.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
And, I mean, so right now it is just like, this is SAT prep season. So I do this shit all the time. I'm the first one to point out, like, look, I gotta tell you, like, I think this question is garbage.
Yeah.
They're like, what? Like, yeah, I think this question is garbage. They're like, you tell me. It's like, all right, so from a evaluative standpoint, what am I measuring that you know?
Yeah.
And like, I'm here to help you beat the test.
Yep.
But I'm not here to say that the test is right.
Right. Yeah, I'm not here to defend the test.
No.
So this is a common enemy.
And I'm not going to, right?
Well, I'm kind of the same way with like a lot of my students, and particularly when they get a little ranty about some of my colleagues.
No, that doesn't happen. No. Unless it's a personal friend of mine.
What do you mean?
Like, so if they were picking on like one of my colleagues, but it was somebody I was close with, I'd be like, tell me more. Because I'm gonna use this to go pick on them, right?
Yeah.
But if it's like somebody else, like I don't want to hear it.
So I'll give them a little bit of time, usually at the beginning of the class, and every couple of weeks, it's like, you got something that's on your chest, let it out, but I'll let them know. It's like, I don't want names, okay, and that's for the protection of both the innocent and the guilty.
Yeah.
And so, but if you've got something that's bothering you, I mean, I'm here to hear, I'll listen to you. So, but at the same point in time, I understand that, like, what goes on in my colleagues' classes is something that I have zero control over. Likewise, they have zero control over mine. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Well, especially like, I mean, my class one was like, well, get used to it.
yep.
Like, I hear what you're saying, but the most important thing that you will learn in any educational institution is that different people have different expectations, and it's not their job to mesh with you. It's your job to mesh with them, especially if that job contains seniority in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, I mean, like, so most of my students are sophomores or juniors, so they all get that by that
Oh,
point in time. Yeah. And so, like, it is one of those things where, like, I have very different policies. So I have the late policy that you taught me years ago that I
yeah,
fucking love, and I've never deviated from it ever since. It's
yeah.
like, yeah, no, let's do as indicated, but then,
The
if you don't
Segedy
get it
greater
on that
theory
day,
of
yeah,
greater academic harmony.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're, oh, that's so cool. Why don't my other professors do that? And it's like, not, I don't know. All right. So, but understand that, not every boss that you work for is going to have a, it's like, well, 5 minutes is still on time kind of policy.
Right.
You know?
Worked in places where if you're on time, you're late.
Right. Yeah, exactly. No, me too. Yeah.
Because they were
Me
like,
too.
so let me get this straight. If you walk in the door at 8 o'clock, it's like, yeah. Is it even physically possible for you to actually start
Right,
working
yeah.
at 8? Because you got to go hang up your jacket. You got to go put your lunch away.
You
It's
got to
like,
get a cup of coffee.
it's like, what do you think we do here?
Yeah. I don't know. I've worked at a couple of places where that they were a little bit more lenient about that.
Yeah.
And then when I was a manager, usually I was the opposite on those things.
Yeah.
So I was the guy, like, I would never, like, I used to tell people all the time, if you don't want to come into work, just call in sick. I don't need a doctor's note for you or anything like that.
Right.
Okay, you got PTO, use it, burn it. I don't give a shit. Okay. But then, like, expectations as far as late went, because I mean, I remember, God, I had this guy, fucking fat ass. So he was so useless.
Is that his Christian name?
It was his given name, yeah. He was so useless, but he was like really friendly, and so nobody really wanted to call him on bullshit,
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of thing. But he was the guy. He would show up. Shift starts at like 6 p.m. or whatever. This was graveyards. So I think it was 8. Yeah, so it was
boy.
8, and so of course everybody else is trying to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
And this guy, his name was Max. He would show up.
Of course.
His name was Max. And he's a big fat dude, but man, he would shuffle his feet and everything. And he had the big old fucking Coleman, lunch box, the soft pack
Yeah.
that you have to sling over your shoulder, and the coffee thermos that was, this big. And so his ritual every day was come in, not with coffee in the thermos, okay? But he'd go over to the coffee machine and make some so he could pour it into his thermos. So, yeah. And so I don't think I was supervising there for maybe more than a day, right? And he came back in. And I hadn't known him before I got promoted there. And I was standing in front of the coffee machine. So he's like, "Hey, Pat, how are you? Congratulations, blah, blah, blah." I was like, "Max, you need to get here about 10 minutes earlier if you want to use this coffee pot." And he just looked at me. He was like, "Well, I got to go over and I got to go work at the airport today. I need coffee." I was like, "You can come back and make coffee on your break." So, God, he got mad. But at the same point in time, like, there were like 3 or 4 other people who were like there, and they were just watching him to see what he would do. And he saw that as soon as he saw them, he just packed his shit up and went. So, yeah, and it was like, he never did it again.
That is funny too, because that is the thing where, a lot of times you'd be like, all right, look, it doesn't really impact me at all, but as soon as the rest of you
Yeah.
see that, right,
Well, that
like,
was that was
I'm
my
not
point.
having this discussion with everybody. Because I get it, and I understand that punctuality is one of those enterprises where if you let it slide, you're going to have a yelling session in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then you have to police it like crazy. And then if you
Yeah.
make an exception, then a million. What are you playing favorites? Like,
Oh yeah. No,
and then you have to put in the zero tolerance. I get it.
I always did the zero tolerance thing. The trick behind it, at least what I found, was just don't be a dick about it. So if someone's 5 minutes late, you're like, "Oh, hey, you're late, fucker. What happened?" It's like, "Oh, hey, good to see you. I got to write you up." So, it's 5 after, so I have to write you up. It's like nothing personal, but you just know that this is something I got to police. And so, no worries. Here, press hard, 3 copies.
Yeah.
You know. So, but yeah, that was one. And I mean, when I worked on a railroad, that's when I really found out that being vigilant on that saved you a lot of trouble. So, because if someone's consistently late, I mean, so I didn't fire a lot of people, but most of the people that I fired there were based, it was like, we got them on attendance policy, but they were all drug problems too. So, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it was, I'm not saying correlation is causation, but correlation is what matters here.
But there
Yeah.
there are some bits of data that
You just can't ignore it.
you can't. I mean, this is the thing: is you don't want to do full on guilt by association,
Right.
but at the same time, it's like you guys really do hang out at the same clubs,
Yeah.
and you have a lot of the same friends.
Yeah.
Because look, I'll also say this: like any place where I found myself being chronically late was a place that I found I didn't want to work.
Yeah, me too. Every time I started slipping on things like that, it was because I didn't want to fucking be there. Or I'd find ways not to get there. So, and then like the worst thing, I always knew that it was time to quit a job when I had a fantasy about the place burning down. So, or something. And it was like, oh shit, man, that's a real bad
A
sign.
little bit psychotic, but I respect it.
Well, it started happening to me, like the last call center I worked at, there was, the way that it worked out.
Yeah.
Was
I
there,
ain't even talking about that shit.
oh man, fuck those. I'll never work in a call center again. But we actually had a fire. All right, one night while I was there. It was maybe like 2 hours before I quit in time because I think we tied up our phones at like 10, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I always liked the late shift because management was much more chill and stuff like that. But anyway, one night, I was sitting there on the phones helping customers and shit, and bam, all the lights go off. Okay. So, no, I mean, they don't shut off. It's the alarms start flashing, okay, because they flash before they sound, kind of thing. And we're like, oh, fuck, is that real? So, and then sure enough, yeah, it was actually real. So there was actually a small fire somewhere in the building, but they let us all go that night. So, because the whole parking lot's full of fucking fire trucks and shit. Yeah. And I remember driving home and saying, you know what would be nice?
I know.
So, and then that was a long time ago as far as the job goes. That was before I even left town, and I've had that fantasy 2 other times since then. So the one on the railroad was really good, actually. There was a bridge just outside of town that if that motherfucker had burned down, it would have taken him like a month to fix it. So
Yeah, unfortunately, I know where your brain goes next. Is you're just like, well, I know where to get gas.
Right, that's exactly. And I've got the Jeep. Nobody would suspect seeing a company vehicle parked next to company property. Yeah, and that's when it was kind of like, oh man, I probably need to get out of here. So
Yeah.
actually, that's the closest that I think my wife and I ever got to like actually splitting up. So if it was gonna happen, it probably would have happened then. So.
Well, that's a pretty rough strain to put on a relationship.
Yeah,
I mean,
I recommend.
I know that there are people who talk about like, living in 2 different places and all that other stuff. I'm like, I get it, but I don't know.
Not recommend.
That just, I guess there's a part of me that would be like, all right, well, this works, only in the sense that I'm like so stupidly independent about a lot of things,
Sure.
right? But at the same time, then there's the question of like, so why am I in this?
You wouldn't be in a relationship.
Like,
then.
what is
Yeah.
the point of this?
So, yeah.
Because then the question would be, well, what do you get out of this?
Well, exactly. So, what am I, just a paycheck, so, or something, yeah, no, that
Well, at least that would be honest. That would be,
I've seen, yeah, sorry, go for it.
that would be honest, because then it's like, all right, well, yeah, that's what I'm getting because, she's 21 years old and from the Czech Republic.
Right, okay.
And at that point, I'm like, well,
Obviously.
you
yeah.
do look like your picture.
Yeah.
So, it's like, all right, this is fine.
Yeah, I know. We figured this one out in about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So,
I'm trapped.
I've seen so many people, like, over the years, especially at the bar. I've seen marriages, divorces, all kinds of shit. And I gotta tell you that it's just like, I mean, I'm almost good at calling them now. So in some respects,
Yeah.
just because it's kind of like, man, you're in a relationship and you tell me how much you love your wife and things like that, but then the minute that dude over there who is her brother is out of earshot, all you do is bitch about her. He's like,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like, man, you're living nothing but lie built upon lie built upon lie, and this is all going to come to fruition at some point in time. I mean, I've seen a couple of relationships over there. I mean, spectacularly explode, and it was like, wait for it. See this dude over here? I know he's going to cheat on her.
Yeah.
Okay, and then she's going to find out about it, and they work here. Both of them
Of
work
course.
here. This is
Yeah.
going to be really fun.
Yeah.
So
We are talking about like fucking shit being thrown out on the front lawn.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's happened. So yeah, one dude over there got his truck stole. So yeah. And he was like, oh blah blah blah. I was like, what the fuck do you expect, man? Oh, let me guess, she took your dog too. You know? So yeah. It's like, why wouldn't she? I mean, I'm not surprised by this at all. So
Well, because there is a component to this of there are some guys where it is, look, man, if you don't want to be married, don't be married.
don't be married. Yeah.
Right? If you want to do that shit, do that shit. It's fine.
Yeah.
You get no judgment from me. But, you know, the other side of this, of course, is like, man, don't put somebody else through that shit.
Oh Lord, no, no, that's not fair. So I don't know. And then like the other thing that I would say that I've actually grown a little bit more like socially conservative on is the idea of actually living together before you get married. So you shouldn't do that for too long. So I have not seen too many relationships. I've seen exactly one where that worked out. So, but most of the relationships that I've seen where people move in together, you know, it's fun. You get to play house for like 6 months or so, but then you learn the shit that you don't like about the other person. So you know, you start resenting, or you start like, you know,
Oh, yeah.
hating
yeah.
on them in some respects. So like resentment.
You leave him post-it notes and shit. Yeah,
Yeah, you
or
start getting all
whatever.
passive aggressive.
Yeah.
I've seen that happen. And then it's just like, no, man, you know, like every relationship you're going to go through that. Okay? So, but if you got nothing bolting you down, you're going to bolt. So, you know, and I see so many of them break up that way.
Well, and that's fine because if ultimately that's something that's incompatible, right? I'm not here to tell people like what your conditions for no sale are, right?
Well, no, I get that. So I guess the thing about that is the breakups that I've seen that are based upon like that kind of shit, they were really painful for one of the party because they didn't really fucking know what was going on.
Well,
So-
that's the issue.
Yeah, that's the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
If seriously, I mean, the whole point is like to find things that you're at an impasse with, and if
Right.
it's,
Yep.
I mean, look, it's like good research, right?
Yeah.
You're not always just trying to prove a new theory.
Right.
You also have to like test and see if it's repeatable,
Yeah, we
right?
should study Rome again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, I get that, man. But like, yeah, I see so many people who's like, "Hey, you've got a great relationship and things like this, and stuff's going right. Just fucking pull the trigger on it. Just get it done." You know? No, we're gonna wait another year or two, and then invariably a year later, it's completely gone. You know, and it's like that actually wasn't that big of a fucking deal, but because it was a really big deal at that particular moment, that dude decided to jet. Okay, and that whole thing fell apart when really what you two needed to do was just fucking sleep it off and talk about that the next day.
There's that, but
Yeah.
you know, at the same time, I guess the flip side I'd look at it as is like if it fell apart over something like that, I'm guessing it would have probably fallen apart over
Yeah,
something else.
I get that, but you know, it's
But
also,
that's of course,
yeah.
like this is a predestination paradox, and
It is,
like,
yeah.
All right, I'm
Yeah.
not. Somebody goes back in time; they're their own grandfather. So I'm not doing that. But
I'm my own grandpa.
you know, I'm not going down that route. But yeah, generally speaking, it's just like you guys, you know, especially when it's earlier, it's like, well, good, you know,
Yeah.
because a lot of this stuff isn't going to work. There's
No,
look, let me put it to you this way, right? I have known guys and women that were basically they're compatible with everything,
yeah,
right? Let me just say, I mean, barring of course, like he put me in a sleeper hold. Like, no, you should leave.
yeah.
right?
No, you should leave.
So yeah, this is like the blood type O universal donor. Anybody can take it,
Right.
right? But then there are people where it's like, you'll find a reason to fuck this up no matter what.
Right, yeah, you're gonna kamikaze this one just because you want to wear the patch.
Kinda,
Yeah,
yeah. You're the
yeah,
divine wind. Yeah,
right.
good for you. Um,
Yeah,
are you proud of yourself? Yeah,
I've
it's.
definitely seen that too.
Of course you have, and you know, it's not even something where you can put some kind of dumb platitude on it where you're like, oh well, he's too picky or she's too picky. It's like no, it's got nothing to do with it. It's that this person usually doesn't like themselves in some
Yeah,
capacity. And since they're using that other person as some kind of reflection, it's doomed.
right, and it's monstrously unfair to that other person, especially if they're being pretty forthright and earnest.
Of
So
course.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen that happen a couple times.
Yeah, it's just most of those people like that cause that usually pretty good looking. But they have,
Can be.
which is the reason that they get into relationships. If you're a shit person,
Yeah.
but also you're butt ugly, that solves most problems. You're laughing.
Dude, your logic is so solid on that.
But no, because I mean, you have one of two choices. You're either going to get in one of those relationships that grinds you up and kicks you out, right? Or you're going to like spend your time exclusively with the other, you know, I don't know, hobbits or whatever it is
Right, yeah.
that are available. And
Yeah.
most people like that are like, well, I don't want to date a hobbit. And I was like, okay, well,
Well, off you go.
then
Yeah.
that's that.
So you're good, right? Yeah. I'll come check on you next week. Yeah.
I've known people that
Yeah.
like, you know, this person doesn't seem to be like, if you're at a 7.5, that person, why are you dating like a 4.25?
Right.
Right. And the whole purpose of this was like they wouldn't say it, but it's like, oh, because you get to treat them like garbage. That other person
Sometimes.
feels lucky to be there.
Yeah.
So they
Sometimes.
take your bullshit. But again, it's not like nobody comes in there with a like, you know, drumming their fingers together and say like, I'm going to ruin somebody's day. No, it's just something that comes out that way.
No, and some people, like, especially if they've done that in the past, man, they don't even. I mean, oh, the next one will be different, and so they're not even aware of what they're kind of doing in some respects. But then you see him. I've seen this happen to a guy over there, where he'll get involved in a relationship, he'll get all excited, and everything goes good for a little bit, and then he'll inevitably fuck it up.
Yeah.
So just because something happens after just a couple months or something like that, and it's just like, oh, all of a sudden that's the worst fucking thing ever.
Oh, right.
And it's like,
yeah.
That's not what you were saying last week.
What changed?
What changed, man? So,
but what are you gonna do? I mean, that's the same that we've known plenty of people with that. Shit, I've gone through phases in my life where it was an absolute like persecutorial, planning and plotting against me at all.
oh yeah,
corners, and you're like, I've had a pretty shitty attitude, but I've also I seem to be telling other people about all these other shitty people all the time.
right.
I feel like there may be a chance. It's a small one. But since I was there for all the incidents, I'm the only constant.
What is it? You meet one and you met one and
Yeah,
you meet all of them all the time. Then
yeah, if you meet one asshole, they're an
Right.
asshole. If you meet nothing but assholes, you're the asshole.
Oh, I owe you a story. So about one of
Oh.
my students, and it had to do with, am I the asshole?
Oh,
So
okay.
we were going to talk about Italian guys. So
Oh, yeah.
that story actually came all the way back around. So
Okay.
I got the story.
It was about native Italians versus.
It was about no. So the student that I'm talking about here is not actually from Italy. All right.
Okay.
So
Italy is puny.
Italy is puny, but she grew up somewhere very close to Italy. Okay, and so she speaks perfect Italian.
Oh,
Okay, kind of thing. And actually, I think she was amazing. She spoke like 4 or 5 different languages. Her
That's
English,
nuts.
her English was impeccable.
Mm.
She said she grew up in a family that was like that, though. So
Oh, really?
yeah, no, like her dad worked for some German company, and then her mom, came from France or something like that, and then
that's where the Conants.
yeah, and then she actually went to school in England, for a bit, so she was fine, but she was absolutely fluent in all these things. But anyway, she graduated. Well, this is several years ago, and so she's just someone that I keep in touch with because I keep in touch with them from time to time. And she got a new job, new big job. All right, in the Big Apple of all places.
Oh.
So very, very exciting. Hate the men there. So-
Okay, we'll talk about this in a minute. Okay, go on.
Absolutely.
Okay, well,
She said she actually burned one down pretty hard in front of all his brothers like 2 weeks ago because he did the family meeting kind of thing.
yeah.
So, and these guys, they're all doing the Italian
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And so she starts speaking in Italian and then suddenly realizes that nobody there knows how to fucking speak Italian except for the dude's grandfather who starts laughing his ass off. So, and so yeah, she said she got into this like this I don't know what it was, like an Instagram story or something like that went
Okay.
somewhat viral or something about this. And so she said, well, if you saw that, I was like, no, I don't have Instagram, can you tell me the story? And so she told it to me, and so it was funny because I was like, well, you gonna go back to Europe? And she's like, hell no. So I feel like I'll make way more money here. So, but yeah, she said you could just tell that I had just lost my boyfriend because I was speaking Italian and nobody around here could speak Italian. So
Well, wasn't that actually one of the running jokes in The Sopranos? Was that
oh yeah, you're right, it was with Paulie in particular, right?
yeah, that all of these New Jersey greaseballs, right? They would do the thing. Of course, I've mocked this at many times, where you speak the King's English, or you're speaking received pronunciation, and then suddenly you come across the word pepperoni, and and you must stop what you're doing and do a running start on pronouncing it Italianly, right?
Oh right.
Yeah,
Do
it's
running
like-
start.
Yeah, well, because you're like, so you're gonna take your dough and you're gonna put it in your pan, right? You're gonna put it flat, and then you're gonna grab your pepperoni, right?
Running start.
It's like, come on, man, right? And,
Yeah.
and look, that works the same way in Spanish. I remember like the people on the Food Network would do that too. Just say rice. It's like,
Oh right, yeah. Queso fresco.
So you want to go ahead and stir this at 350, and then you want to add your arroz. It's like that means rice.
Right.
Why did you
Yeah.
say the rest of it in fucking English? Yeah, I get it. Arroz con pollo. But it's rice with chicken.
Right, yeah, exactly.
you know.
Yeah.
But this was all right. So William sent me off a couple of days ago. You were there for it.
What, here?
Yeah.
Oh, when
And-
you turn green?
Yes, because of the whole, like, that cat calling bullshit, right?
Yeah.
Now, look, I'm not doing this because, like, William's away and he can't push my buttons. What I am going to say is I mention that I barely see it.
Yeah.
Okay? I've barely seen
Yeah.
it. But I will say this.
You don't see it very often. So,
No, but there are certain places where it is prevalent.
sure. Yeah.
New York would be one of those
Yeah,
places.
Jersey.
Why?
I don't know, man. So, I think it's probably just part of the culture there. So,
It's part of certain cultures.
right, yeah, but I mean, you got the melting pot there, and so,
Right.
if your neighbors do it, you tend to do it as well.
Absolutely, but
Yeah.
you also know how the neighborhoods break down.
Right, yeah.
Generally ethnically. And
Yeah.
look, I'm just, again, this is catcalling goes right in. It's
I was just gonna say, the people that I've seen do it, like I worked with a gang, okay, so and they were all Mexicans. They would do it like crazy.
Puerto
So-
Ricans, yes.
No, these guys were specifically.
No, I know
Mexican, yeah.
what you're saying, but this is what I'm
So,
talking.
yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, yes, I get it. Okay, but this is one of the things where, just like you sit there and say like, but Jeffrey, you're judging humanity based on Twitter. You can't do that. You know they're not
You know
real.
that's not good,
Right? Like, I know. But this is the same thing. When people go out there and do this whole, like, guys are catcalling you all the time,
Yeah,
it's like, where do you live?
right, exactly.
Maybe this happens
Yeah.
there,
Yeah,
but this blanket statement that you're making about,
Yeah.
let's make our Gillette commercial, boys will be boys. Like, Most of us are like, dude, don't do that. You're embarrassing me.
Yeah, I
Come on,
know.
man. Like,
Yeah.
I work with that guy. I don't want to have to
Yeah,
fucking
I don't
explain
want to
this
see him on
tomorrow.
TV too, man.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, I mean, so it's definitely like,
that's the shit that pissed me off. Yeah.
yeah. Well, there's like three different things about it, and then you don't really talk about any of them. So one is that, yeah, there's definitely an ethnic component to it in terms of frequency. So
Mm.
yeah. The other one is like almost universally, this is not something that people, who live in the suburbs do.
Hell no.
Yeah, no, this is. I mean, I lived in very rural places. I never saw people do that. So
No.
yeah,
Well,
so it's also an urban thing. And then the last piece of it is that, even though I think just about, I think you'd be pretty surprised because I actually asked my wife about this.
yeah.
So yeah, and she was like, "Oh yeah," but I was like, how do you feel about that kind of thing? She didn't really get a good answer, so I'm going to try that again. All right, but it was also one of those things where it was like, does this happen a lot? And she's like, no, you know. So, but does it happen? Yeah. Does it happen when you're a teenager? Yes. So, and that part's kind of wiggy. And so,
Yes. Okay. And that I understand.
sure.
I'm not excusing it.
Right.
I am just putting it out there with, as I told. All right. So every now and then, um, I will tell some of my younger students about the kind of things I was getting up to at their age. And as we've discussed, there's a thing where we've said like it's a miracle that all of us have all of our fingers and toes.
Yeah, that's true.
And when I tell them about these things, they're like, "Why did you do that?"
Put a
Like,
4x8 sheet of plywood on a skateboard.
dude, it's the fertilizer bomb is the one that always gets me.
Yeah, that
It's
was
like,
pretty good. Making
what-
napalm. Yeah.
yes, it's like, what were you going to use as a wick? Oh, we were just going to light the paper. And I'm not lying. And the funny thing is, while doing that, that means like 8 heads were going to be looking right over it.
Right, yeah.
Right. Is it going to blow up? But yeah, it's dude, it burned down a forest.
Yeah.
I don't know what
Yeah,
to
the
tell you.
fire marshal came to see it.
Yeah. So there's this component of, all right, I can't justify any of this, but somehow, despite all this crap, I wouldn't say that we came out abnormal.
No, no.
And that's the weird thing is when it comes to like some of the garbage behavior that comes out of teenagers, right?
Sure.
Catcalling or whatever, like, I don't excuse it,
Yeah.
but teenagers do dumb things.
Oh, yeah.
And these are formative experiences, and most of the time they will learn, like, wow, I'm a real dick.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's like a permanent disconnect between my students and myself. I mean, I'm pretty good at connecting with them on a lot of things, like kind of like you are.
Certainly, yeah.
Things like that. But the idea of actually growing up in a place where your neighborhood is so much bigger because like everybody's going to be on the Instagrams or something like that.
Yeah.
That I don't know exactly how to navigate that with my own daughter, but I'm going to tell you that like things like the antics that we used to get up to
Yeah.
and shit like that, man, when you migrate that shit online, it gets bad sometimes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've got some students that because there's like some parts of my classes where we touch on things like social media, there are so many of them who just fucking quit it.
Yeah.
Now and
Yeah.
they're just like fucking gone. They're like, oh, I quit that when I was 16. And I was like, oh, okay, So, and they're like reluctant to even to get like a LinkedIn account.
And you can tell when they
Yeah.
say that there's a story that they kind of want to tell but also don't.
Yeah, you can tell it's a painful memory.
Yeah.
And so, that'll be kind of interesting to see how exactly that's different. But, you just don't have those same kind of stories that we used to have. It's just like, oh, guess what? We saw this thing on TV that showed us how to make a fertilizer bomb.
They changed that in the second
They
season.
changed that in the second season, yeah. So, And I mean, I've been pretty good about just turning my daughter loose on the neighborhood. So it's like, get out, go do stuff.
Right.
Kind of thing. Or, not trying to just constantly helicopter over things. Just do your homework and blah, blah, blah. I do some of that, but not as much as probably most of most of the other people that I know,
Oh, I know.
at least who have kids. Um, and like hopefully that helps a little bit in some respects. But at the same point in time, man, I mean, a lot of my students are getting. So the millennial students are basically gonzo. So I don't have
Right.
any more of those. Unless they're out there working on a master's degree or something like that.
Which it could be.
Yeah, there's a few here and there.
I think the other day they mentioned that the first person of like the technical millennial generation made it to Congress.
Who's that?
I don't know.
AOC is considered a millennial, isn't she?
I don't know.
Yeah, there's a few people who are younger than her.
It's something like this.
Yeah.
Or no, because you have to be minimum like 30, right?
25.
25.
25
Okay.
to go to Congress, 30 to go to the Senate.
35 to be president.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, 70.
Well,
Just raise the cap.
no, well, you know how like the cops can pull you over if you're doing 30 and a 55. There is some places do it does say like minimum speed limit, but nobody goes 30.
Right.
You're expected to do 65.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Um,
Otherwise, you're gonna die. So
It's dangerous. Well, yeah,
It is dangerous.
and you're right. And this is like the social media aspect of this is fascinating, right? And on top of that too, just the whole surveillance culture, which I understand is nothing compared to Britain. It's nothing compared to the Orwellian nightmare that is China.
oh god, Britain's like, I saw the stat on that the other
It's
day.
disgusting.
No, it's not even funny how much better it is than China is. So I think that was actually on the China guys today. They were
Yeah.
talking about how many cameras there were. So in
Yeah.
China, it's 10 cameras for every, or there's 4 cameras for every 10 people.
Yeah.
And in Britain, even though it's like one of the highest in the Western world, it's still like there's like 10 cameras for every 10,000.
Right.
Yeah. So
And here it's like, well, it just depends on how many rings you have.
Right.
And it's not
how many
state
people their
cameras.
fucking notifications. are,
Yeah, it's not state cameras.
no, man. So trying to find out who's stealing their mail so they can shoot them.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the funny things is yeah, when they come down to it and police are solving crimes, they're like, well, did you ask if the 7-Eleven has a CCTV or
Right,
something?
yeah.
Instead of, well, let's go to Governor Cam #1.
Right, yeah. So,
You know, and that's I get it. That's part of that is this. When I advocate for the Second Amendment, Patrick, it's not because necessarily I love guns. It is a lot of times because I hate cameras.
Oh.
It is only in places where you have to be afraid of your population that you can say, no, actually, we can't put in cameras here. It's like, well, why?
right, yeah. Yeah.
Because there are more of them than us.
Right.
Right. And
Yeah.
I understand. And that's like you said, that's why you have 4 cameras every 10 people in China.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is a component to that where the absurdity to the things I don't want to say we got away with. It was just the ramblings of where a mind goes when people are like, all right, well, go solve this, go do this, go
Yeah.
figure out what to do.
Yeah. Well, and you could turn off too. So
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's like, all right, my parents aren't here. Nobody's watching me right now. What can I get away with?
Right.
And then later, I'd be like, oh fuck, I've been hanging out with my friends all day. I'm tired of these fuckers. You go home and it's like turn off. My
course.
daughter right now, it's like as soon as she gets home, she's on her phone with her friends, and it's like, well, that's cool. I'm glad you're socializing and things like that, but I can't live like that. So I refuse to do it. Yeah, rights of privacy in terms of like I have the right to ignore you. So,
Yeah.
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 It's just like one of those things that is something that I do notice people in younger generations find offensive. So,
Oh, why didn't you answer my text?
yeah, I mean, like last week I was doing my first day of the week thing, and so it was like, okay, here's my cell phone if you need me. Call me. I won't answer it.
Right.
Okay, just tell me what you want. All right, and I'll call you back. Or you can text me, and if you text me, do not expect an immediate reply. Okay?
just odd that you have to stipulate that.
I've had to stipulate that because of past experience. So, and then I tell them now, it's like, if it's not a burning dumpster fire, so email is best. I know it's ancient and archaic. Okay, but at least that way you answer those other two questions right off the bat. I know who you are. I know what class you're in. Okay. So, and, you know, if it's not something that needs to be answered right away, then here you go. But most people still, they're like, well, I have a question now, and so I want an answer right now. And it's like, no, I'm drinking right now. I'm not going to answer your questions.
Well, I mean, I understand, but, you know, I have desires myself.
Right.
But, I mean, I don't see Marilyn Monroe anywhere, and I don't think she would talk to me anyway.
No, probably
right.
not.
This is the weird thing, and I'm not gonna sit there and give a diatribe, Patrick, like these kids in their instant.
Oh, I think they're great, man.
I was like, no, man. Everybody has wanted instant gratification from the dawn of man. Our species survived because of instant
Yeah,
gratification. I mean, this goes back to like the fucking like we can't be living in a simulation because like if you think about it even for a second, it's like, what programmer would be like, all right, so some of these plants, it's like, yeah, it's like, well, they reproduce with pollen. It's like, okay, why? I don't know. But these ones do it with, check this out, they're going to make fruit that things are going to eat and then move their seeds over to other places. Like, why? It's like, I don't know. And what's going to happen here is that those biological organisms are going to need those vitamins and minerals in those fruits and vegetables to survive. Why? What's the answer, Patrick?
I don't know.
There you go.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. You're like, you're telling me that a programmer of some genius made all of these variations, right? To where this one can eat some chocolate, but not tons of it, right?
Yeah.
Right? And she's a carnivore, but she can eat some of those things. Sure. She can eat some avocado, but not the skin.
Right.
I can eat those all day.
Yeah.
Right?
And a whole loaf of bread is just as good as a squirrel. So.
You're absolutely right. And then you turn around and say, like, you know, there's no evolutionary reason where, like, a chimpanzee tail wouldn't be handy.
Yeah.
But I don't have it because, like, those of us that migrated to colder climates don't really do well, you know, and that we didn't need it there. Like, and a programmer figured this out. Like, that fat guy you know figured this out. He wrote this. This is all script, huh?
Fucking Max.
Right.
So this is all script. Yeah. No, like, the I don't know answer is just, it's actually good here in a lot of respects.
People hate it.
People do fucking hate it, you know? Like, like this whole week. So before I came over here tonight, I was trying to catch up on some news and things like that. And guess what? There's nothing. Everything's an I don't know. I don't know why this is going on. I don't know what's going on with that. So
all I can do is speculate, and that's useless. That and 10 cents will get you a cup of coffee.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, but it's just people are so dissatisfied with the I don't know. So they had that whole redacted thing that came out today, right? Doesn't tell us anything.
No.
Okay. Tells us some things. Okay. But at the same point in time, like, even like, so there's some trusted news sources out there that kind of like I like to go to actually take a look at. They're all talking three different directions on this thing, you know?
Yes.
So not being satisfied with I don't know for an answer, you're right. It's absolutely infuriating, but it's also it's just part of like actually navigating this world successfully. You know? So it's like, well, I don't know why that's that way, but I know that, you know, if I feed too much chocolate to the dog, okay, I got to clean up a bad mess. And so that's all I really need to know. You know?
Well, this is yeah, you're sort of trampling on well, not trampling, but gracefully waltzing into that Twitter problem is when you're faced with an I don't know,
Right.
did you it's okay to like stop and think about it for a little bit, or God help you actually talk to another person and say, "What do you think?" Right? But after you came to the conclusion that you all didn't know, and there was no more information to gather, did you say fuck it and do something else, or did you stew on it for another 7 hours
Yeah.
and spew some bullshit,
Yep.
right? Um, and bait Jeffrey until he got banned.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing is I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I know the people I'm trying to bother, right? But I also fall into that trap every now and then of thinking that they're not the people that we wouldn't have called socially weird if we knew them in the real life. You'd be like, that kid's weird. Like, because we knew him back in the day.
We knew
like,
him back in the day.
we knew, like, we had weird kids back in the day. Like, and
they're all still out there.
they're on Twitter. They're linking up with the other weirdos, and that's fine.
You know what? That's kind of interesting thing to think about right there. So amongst the people that I know, okay, like and have spent time with,
Yeah.
all right, I can pick out a few that I know would be the guys on Twitter. So
Yeah.
and it's like, you know what? Yeah, your opinion really doesn't matter that much, man, compared to these other 9 people that I know who wouldn't be on Twitter. So
Right.
yeah, because the weird kid. That's actually really insightful. I hadn't really thought about it that way.
Well, this is what I've said before. Is the social pressures in 1980, right, were if you were the weird kid and you had friends, the social pressure would have been knock that off
Right.
if you want to fit in because you're scaring the girls away.
Right.
Right? Look, I'm not trying to be rude about it, but it's just like, dude,
Don't scare the girls away.
no, I've said it before. It's like you can stay at the party until you scare off the girls. Then you gotta go.
Yeah,
Right.
then you're a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, but if your alternative is, well, I can find other people who embrace my weirdness, right? We don't have to develop. We can stay right where we are because look, in 1980, you didn't play video games if you were over the age of 20 or 25.
Oh, Lord, no.
Right?
You didn't do that till 1990. Sid
Or
Meier
even
was an
later.
outlier, man.
Yeah, or even later, because
Yeah.
there was like there was a social acceptance at that point. It's like, all right, well, and obviously I don't have a problem with that. I beat up on some Mongols just earlier today.
Nice.
Right? But yeah, there are certain things where, well, like nobody's saying this is what being a man is, but like there's just an age where I don't. The best line I can give you, Patrick, is the when I look back on it, the line between adulthood and childhood was voluntarily tucking in your shirt.
Yeah. Or wearing decent shoes.
There is that.
Yeah.
Well, more to the point, having appropriate shoes for appropriate situations.
You don't wear tennis shoes everywhere you go. Yeah.
Correct. Why? Because this is a funeral. But I know that there are plenty of people now
Yeah.
that would go to a funeral
Sure.
with their Bon Jovi tank top. And, sorry. I don't know.
Maybe not that one. Yeah. Yeah.
But you see what I'm saying? There's a certain amount of like social acceptance. And again, I'm not doing this in the form of, hey, remember when nobody was an individual? Wasn't that dope? Yes, that works in Jeffrey's educational gulags.
Right, yeah.
But I also am well aware that that stops the second that you leave. Be an individual.
Yeah.
Right? But, yeah, that whole thing where it's like, all right, don't fit in, find other weirdos.
Yeah.
Until you come across as normal.
I've got an excellent example of this.
Please.
We're at buck 33.
All right.
I think I can get it in 2 minutes. So a long
Put
time.
a button on it.
Huh?
Yeah. Button this up.
I'll try. So this ties back to your thing the other day about kiwi farms, which I legitimately thought sold kiwis. So,
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
But anyway, so there was a game that came out like a year ago. so that I really liked, and I actually did a couple YouTube videos on it and things like that.
Okay.
All right, got involved with the Discord server and stuff like that. This thing turned into a fucking nightmare over the course of the last like 6 months, man.
Why?
So, because of what your point is the fucking weirdos who like trains, okay, all got together on this thing. And then it started turning into fistfights about who's actually control of this game and stuff like that because it's early access and yada yada. And yes, even though there's an owner and blah blah blah, everybody else is giving him assets to use, and so they feel like they have a stake of ownership in it and things like that. And if you actually go on the Steam site and if you click on the discussions, almost all the discussions are people who are lonely looking for games to play, on this one. And so the whole fucking thing tore itself to pieces. All right. I ducked out like maybe back in like, I want to say like February. Okay. I was like, whatever's going on here, I don't know who these people are because I wasn't on the Discord server. Okay. The only reason why I would go there is to get the patch updates.
Got it.
Which is what a fucking Discord server is for, right?
Or somewhere where you can communicate, like, is this broken for me or everybody?
Exactly. Yeah. I can't fix this. So, like that other game that I played, that's what the Discord server is like.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know how to fix this. And people are like, oh, here, do this, this, this. It's like, cool, sweet. This other one started devolving into this thing where everybody's arguing about what was going to happen next and what kind of assets we were going to have and what kind of modifications we wanted to the game and yada, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And then it started turning into identity politics.
Of
course it did. All right. And so it was just one of these things. And the next thing I know, I got a check on it like maybe 3 months ago. All right. And the banhammer had come down hard on a whole bunch of people there. The people who were left were the people who won the argument. Okay. And what do you think happened within the next 3 months?
I would say the whole project fell apart.
Well, no, it's still going on. But the people who actually won that fight split into two groups, fought each other. And now there's only one group left. So it is so stupid, man. Just because it's like guys, it's a goddamn fucking game.
And the people that are still there, are they waving the monkeypox flag?
I haven't seen them waving the monkeypox flag, but the monkeypox flag was actually part of the initial fight. So yeah, I know, man. It was just like, okay, y'all are insane. All right.
Yeah.
So, and none of you guys have friends outside of this room right here, and I know why you don't. So,
And I wouldn't be if I met you in the real life.
And I wouldn't be if I met you in the real life. In fact, I'd buy you a beer. All right. So.
Well, yeah. Well, it's one of two things. It's like I'd either buy you a beer and say like, man, you need to relax.
You need to relax. Or I tell you, get the hell away from my car.
Or the other version is like, well, I'm not crossing the street when you're coming because I'm afraid of you.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's put it that way.
Oh, that's a good place to end.
That's a perfectly bigoted place for us to end.
I'm not crossing the street because I'm afraid of you.
What are we gonna do, Patrick? I'm old. I'm setting my ways.
Yeah.
There you go.
That one's a good one.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
All right. I'm Pat.
I'm Jeffrey.
Hitting the button.
All right.